Britney Spears got smacked and she is pressing charges. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and breaking news dropping on TMZ. Christopher Melcher was kind enough to be available to chime in on this. Welcome, Chris, to this breaking Britney update, and I'm glad we actually get to talk about Britney. And yeah, a lot of you are probably going to click on this because of the title, but there's some more stuff that's happening in this whole case that I've been wanting to check up on. So thanks for being here, Chris. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I was in Santa Barbara court yesterday on the Costner thing. So we, kind of let out with that story. And it was really cool to be there with my son in Santa Barbara yesterday. So if you haven't checked out that video, it's
beautiful. Santa Barbara is beautiful. And yes, it's a great video. And it looks like the judge is siding with her. Crazy. Yeah. Follow up on that video we did yesterday. It's a good update. And it looks like the judge may be siding with Costner, which is a rarity, it seems. But let's get to this breaking news. Yeah. Apparently Britney was in Vegas yesterday. We do know Kim reminded me, yeah, of course, she's played basketball in high school. Britney is a basketball fan, and she apparently wanted to pick with Victor Wembanyama. Sorry if I'm saying that terribly. Really hot new draft pick, French basketball player, and he's this new NBA phenom. And apparently she, was. Let's see what teams he's reporting here. Wednesday night in Vegas, after a member of the NBA phenom Victor security backhanded her in the face, and she has filed a police report. The incident went down at Catch Restaurant in the ARIA Hotel around 8:30 p.m. Britney, along with her husband Sam and two others, went to the restaurant for dinner. She was swarmed by fans as she entered the casino. Britney and company walked over to Catch, and as they were entering the restaurant, Britney spotted Victor. We're told she's a fan and went over to talk to him to ask if they could take a photo together. She tapped him on the back, right shoulder, and we're told the director of team security for the San Antonio Spurs, the team that drafted Victor last month, instantly backhanded her, causing her to fall to the ground, knocking her glasses off. Britney composed herself and went to her table. We're told the security guy came over to the table and apologized. He said, "You understand how it is when you're being swarmed by fans." He apologized and Britney accepted it. By the way, we're told he also said when he hit her, he didn't know who she was, as if that should matter. Britney's security team spent time with Victor's security guy, and afterwards her team filed a police report with the Metropolitan Police Department alleging battery. So clearly, while they're saying she accepted, it doesn't sound like she's accepting this apology, Chris, if they filed the police report. Now, yeah, this is wild. Why you don't do that to anybody? I hate how he's implying, well, if I knew it was Britney, I wouldn't have been so aggressive. But I imagine this is going to be bad news for the security guy. And it's also interesting because it's not Victor's guy. It's the director of team security for the San Antonio Spurs who's being so aggressive. So what are your reactions to this as you see this?
Yeah, it's bad. And this isn't just some random, security guard. This is director of security for the team. And so he should have a lot of experience in training and understand how to behave and how to protect the person that he's protecting without hurting other people. Now, I can understand, if it's close quarters and people are being swarmed, that maybe somebody's going to get elbowed or pushed or whatever unintentionally, because it's just when you have in close contact, stuff happens. But here, it seems like Victor was already seated at the table. Catch is a beautiful restaurant. It's dimly lit if they were in the patio area. So, maybe there's some lighting conditions going on that maybe people can't see so well. But what's being reported is that Britney comes from behind and taps him on the shoulder. So it's not like she's putting him in a chokehold where, there would need to be immediate response to protect this guy. So it's just a tap on the shoulder and then a backhand causing her to fall down. So if it's a backhand, I'm assuming that means that the director of security was in front of Britney. And so Britney's behind now Victor and the head of security, and he kind of backhands. At least, again, that's what's reported. We haven't got video yet or an image to see exactly how it went down. But it's all going to come down on what the director of security says. If he's like, look, we were startled. I didn't know what was going on. I was just trying to direct this other person away from Victor, and I accidentally made contact with Britney, then it's not a crime. if he's saying, hey, I used force, I backhanded her to keep this person away, then he's using force in a way that's not legal. It's not justified. You can't use force on somebody for tapping somebody else on the shoulder. That's not an assault that justifies a battery back. So he would be criminally responsible for that. So it's really going to come down on what he said. And that's why, a lot of criminal defense lawyers, by the way, if something happens, the advice is don't say anything, because really his statement, the director of security statement, is going to be pivotal on whether he's going to get charged. You're muted.
Would they have already taken that statement? Is it already in?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like you can take your advice now and lie. Like they would have taken a statement at this point if the report was filed.
I would think so. I mean, there was a report filed. I don't know if it was a deaths report, or I'm assuming that Las Vegas PD would have responded there. Britney Security was reportedly also there and stayed with the director of security. So I got to imagine that they called the police responded. There was probably a statement. And again, it all depends on what this guy said and how it's being reported by the police in their report. But obviously, like you mentioned, I mean, it's there. You just don't have a right to put your hands on somebody like that,
right.
And it's going to come down to, and obviously enough force to knock her down.
Well, yeah, it's weird because you say, right? They're at Catch, so it's not even like they're walking in like a crazy place and fans are swarming. They're at a restaurant where it must have been more chill, right? And they're inside the restaurant. And she comes over and he just reacts aggressively. There's got to be more to this. Exactly. He must be in the wrong. The fact that she filed a police report, all this seems that there's something fishy over at Catch. And I imagine there probably are cameras in this restaurant too. I'm sure TMZ is all over it. And if there is footage, we will get there. All right. So stay tuned. I guess we have to see more details, but it looks like that has been filed and we'll keep you posted on this breaking. But while I have you, Christopher, I do want to mention this other story that's been out there that we've been wanting to cover and talk about. A lot of the Britney fans out there are reacting and furious over the fact that Jamie Spears, her father, has been accused of spending more than $1 billion of Britney's money. This number sort of came out because fans, Twitter detectives, were combing through. And yeah, there's a point in this filing where it says paid his lawyers and others in the range of bold, italicized 10 figures. And yeah, this is shocking. I bought it, but you've got some corrections here, don't you, Christopher?
That's right. I when this came out, a media outlet had contacted me to saying, could this really mean $1 billion? And so I looked into it and got the paperwork, or I'd already had the body declaration that's cited there, and it's a typo. And this is just really sloppy work, unfortunately, by Rosengard's office in that footnote. So what's happening here in the status report is there's a discovery dispute over information that each side wants from each other in the final accounting that Jamie Spears and the lawyers want on the wrap-up of the conservatorship. And so Rosengard's office is doing a status report saying, here's where we're at on this dispute. He puts a footnote in there saying that Jamie had, taken or misused 10 figures. Now, 10 figures would be $1 billion. And then he took the time, or whoever wrote this, to bold it and italicize it, saying, we really mean this. Now, in that parenthetical afterwards, it says, see a body declaration, paragraph 83. So that's his citation, meaning don't take my word for it, go to this declaration. A body is the investigator that Rosengard hired to do a report. This happened in early 2001. A body
and we have it right here. How convenient!
And we have it right there. There's paragraph 83. And so in paragraph 83, which is the one that Rosengard's status report is citing to as evidence for the 10-figure claim, he says that $30 million was taken. 30 million is 8 figures. Now, the only way you would get it to 10 figures if you counted pennies or cents. And so that way you would get to 10 figures, but that's not how we express 10 figures. 6 figures is 100,000 to 999,000. 7 figures is 1 million to 9.99 million. 8 figures would be, over 10 million, but less than 100 million. you'd have to be at $1 billion to get to 10 figures. So it's a typo. Somebody got super excited on the keyboard there and made a mistake. They meant to say 8 figures. Now, some people might say, well, hey.
Not to interrupt, but it's like not to take away from the seriousness of the case and the amount of money that was taken from this, to be clear. Like, I don't want to seem like, because you're going to be labeled Team Con now, Chris, for calling out the truth. That's what's so frustrating about this whole case is, oh my God, of course, Annie and Chris are anti-Britney. No. Yeah. It's just imperative that we not let these mistakes go through, because this isn't going to help her, is it? This is only going to muddy the waters and actually could hurt the case, could it not?
Yeah. Well, it's just a typo, and whoever was typing this was not familiar enough with the expression, what figures mean, and maybe they're counting pennies. I don't know what, but it's a screw up. Now, some people might say, well, hey, there's $1 billion. Maybe there is $1 billion of money out there.
I was just going to say, because yes, there has been rumors. Again, we go all sides here. The brother had said she's made $100 billion, Chris, on her perfume line back in the day. Could there be $1 billion or $100 billion that we just don't even know about?
Well, okay. So there could be all kinds of stuff out there, but remember, if you go back to that footnote in that other document, he is citing in his status report a body declaration from 2 years ago at paragraph 83. So this is how we do it as a lawyer, that parenthetical. So when we make a statement, it's like, hey, judge, don't take my word for it. Here's my proof. So in that parenthetical is the proof, and the proof that he's citing to is paragraph 83, which says 30 million. It doesn't say anywhere close to $1 billion. So that's why I'm saying it's a typo. And if he was going to claim, or if he is claiming that $1 billion was stolen, that is nowhere in the 26-page declaration by Shireen Abadi from 2 years ago. Matter of fact, Miss Abadi has not updated her declaration in those past 2 years. So there's no proof of this. There's no evidence of it. Rosengard's not even saying that there's evidence of it. He is saying it's $30 million, not $1 billion. So it's a typo. And like you say, it's still a huge or vast sum of money that was taken, or claiming that was taken, but it's not $1 billion.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing's just a mess. And it's part of the reason why I haven't really reported on, because again, my allegiance is always to Britney. I want her to be safe and sound. And there's a lot of people still trying to hate on her. The press always hating on her. And yeah, I do believe there was some really shady stuff that went down. Her family, to me, are criminals. Lou Taylor, the whole thing. I still subscribe to it fully, and I would love to see justice. But Christopher, it's frustrating. They still haven't sued anybody, have they? They still haven't sued anybody. How much money has she spent on Rosengard and the team? Again, I'm not trying to call them out and be mean, but it's like, at what point do we realize, is she actually going to lose more? What is your advice if Britney was listening, and who knows, maybe she is, what would you ensure that she's doing the right thing for her interests?
So she was obviously in a very, very difficult spot, and under this conservatorship, she needed to get out of it. And so obviously she needed legal help to do that, and lawyers charge money. Now, what has happened, though, is that her legal expenses for fighting Jamie Spears and the lawyers who were trying to get paid for this so-called final accounting for the wrap-up of the conservatorship has exceeded the amount in dispute. And sometimes that happens when people go to court, that their legal fees are greater than the amount that they're contesting. And so this is probably by a factor of maybe 2 or 3 times what is in dispute she is now spent in attorney's fees. Now, maybe that's good money spent. I would imagine she would rather pay her lawyers to contest this than to pay Jamie Spears and the lawyers that did this to her. So I don't fault that. I think also when you look at the progression of this thing, that the other side has fought tooth and nail. So it's been a very bitter fight that's been even up to the Court of Appeal. So every single little tiny thing has been fought, and we haven't even get to an evidentiary hearing on these claims of attorney's fees and final compensation to Jamie Spears. That's the only legal thing that's technically pending right now between Britney and the conservatorship team, is their request for attorney's fees and final fees to Jamie Spears. That's the only thing out there. She has not made any affirmative claims against anybody yet, at least in court. So she has not sued Jamie Spears. She has not sued the attorneys for the conservatorship. She has not sued the attorney that was supposedly representing her interests in the conservatorship. She may have made claims against them, but she has not filed any lawsuits. She still has some time to do that. And I got to think that that's a decision that she will have to make very carefully. That would be more attorney's fees that she would have to incur to fight all these folks. She would be subjecting herself to discovery now and maybe having her deposition taken, which right now it's blocked in the conservatorship litigation. So she has to make those tactical choices, but there is a bond. It's, I can't remember now, $40 million bond that Jamie Spears had to post. That's an insurance company that posted this money up there saying, if Jamie Spears is accused of doing anything wrong as a conservatorship and it's found true, then the bond company will step in and pay up to that $30-something million. So I would imagine Rosengart's made the claim against the bond, but he's also going to have to go to court and get a finding that there was fraud, conspiracy, some kind of misrepresentation that caused Britney to lose money, and then go get that bond money, and that's going to really make her whole. Also, these law firms have big insurance policies. He could be making claims against those policies. I'm sure he has. And if they don't settle, he would or she would have the right to sue. So this could go on for many, many years. But again, it's her decision on how she spends her money and who she fights and who she settles with.
I mean, that ultimately, and it does sound like, based on your answers, yeah, this is what it was going to cost. And to try to I don't trust Rosengart, whatever, to turn away from him and try to start this over, I imagine would be another nightmare that would cost even more money, given how deep and how already unraveled everything is regarding this case. And it does sound like, yeah, this case is a lot more complicated. As much as we'd love to just send Jamie to jail, it's not that easy. And it does sound like they really are trying to do their due diligence to do the right thing here. But man, it's a complicated case, guys, and it's a long, tedious case. And yeah, it's hard to know who to trust given everything Britney's been through. But I'm going to keep trusting Rosengart, but I hope some actions do happen at some point. But yeah, it's a heavy one. That said, all right, so there we go. That's the answers. Good. Just so you know, we're not trying to hate, but yeah, this 10-figure thing wasn't accurate. And if it is accurate, he needed to source it more properly, which he hasn't. And that's frustrating. It's like, come on. And granted, there's a lot going on here. I get it. But this then gets out there and the fans run with it. And then suddenly it's, oh my gosh, I almost ran with this article. And I'm glad I paused because I always want to be more accurate. So I'm glad you could clarify this. Doesn't mean what's going on isn't serious. What's happening to Britney is so awful. How the press treats her is awful. But at the same time, I'm reporting less on her just because I want to give her space. How she spends her money, how she dances in her living room. Chris, it's none of our damn business. That was the whole point of getting her out of this conservatorship, was her freedom. So yeah, sad to hear this new event. Hopefully we'll get more details, and it sounds like she's okay. But final thoughts from you, sir?
Yeah, this is really, bothersome because it's been Britney who's been swarmed and by paparazzi and all this. And there was some kind of statement by, oh, Britney, you know how it is. And it's like, yeah, she knows how it is much better than Victor does. Yep. And so this has been her life. And so I got to imagine she knows how to operate in that situation safely. And so it's just, I feel horrible for her that she got hit and knocked to the ground. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. So hopefully she's doing better after that incident last night. Yeah,
and everyone's like, oh, she's locked in her house. She's a hologram. No, she's not. She's in Vegas going to visit the Spurs. Like, guys, I don't think this was a decoy, as some people are out there still trying to claim, again, why this case is just so hard to cover sometimes. But we will keep you updated when there are big updates, and this was one. If there's new information or video to sort of prove it, we'll be here. In the meanwhile, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the bell for all alerts as well. Smash the like button. What do you think down below? Do you think this has all been money well spent? Do you think she's going to get her justice? How long would you go? Plus, make sure you also follow Christopher Melcher over on Twitter, cia_divorce, for more updates. Always a pleasure, sir. We'll be back with more content soon, and we'll be live later today around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern. Join us for more here on Popcorn Planet.